You're a persistent son of a bitch, aren't you?
You're a hard man to catch.
Turn around.
It's not too late, Samir. We can work something out.
Tell him to stay put. You're coming up.
Basement's clear. I'm coming up. You know, we have something in common. My father's a man of God, too.
Yeah, we're practically brothers. Sit on your hands. Sit on.
I've read some of your father's teachings. He's a man of great integrity. How'd you stray so far from his way of thinking?
All right, so what did you learn about the art of questioning? I wanted to say interrogating because there is an art to it. You know what I mean? And I'm assuming because you made it look so, you made Roy's abilities look so good that you might have looked into it a little bit more.
Well, it's funny because I've got a line that I say to Neil McDonough in the film after our initial interrogation scene with Don, where he gets into a bit of a fight with him, and I say to him, I can't remember the line exactly, but it's something like, interrogating is about pushing somebody's buttons and not letting them push yours. And so, on some level, the thing I think that I have learned, and I've learned it in the past because I've done some interrogation scenes in other films, is about staying relaxed and actually trying to keep it as conversationalist as you can. Because clearly you want something out of somebody and they don't want to give it up. So you can't allow that barrier to bother you. You can't allow that to sort of frustrate you because it's only going to get worse for yourself. So trying to keep it as conversationalist.
You mentioned staying calm. It seemed like Roy was calm the entire movie. No matter what was happening to him, he was always at that calmness. I mean, that's great. And I was reading about doing some background, and they were talking about you yourself, Guy, how you can see the wheels turning in your head when you're acting, and I was thinking about that. That is perfect because you can see the wheels turning in Roy's head too. Mm-hmm. So a lot of this acting is going on. Is it in your mind as you're doing this, or?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, you sort of get lost in the moment when you're doing it, and if you're playing a character like Roy Clayton, who is trying to figure something out, then naturally that's what, if you do it successfully, I suppose, that's what you're going to look like you're doing. You're trying to figure something out. I mean, you don't want to look like you're trying to figure out your character or you're trying to figure out, what you're supposed to be doing next. But the nice thing about playing a character like Roy is the audience is trying to figure stuff out as well. So on some level, you act as a conduit for them to actually kind of experience the film. So, yeah, I don't know. As I say, it's hard to say because between action and cut, you sort of get a bit lost in it, and then you sort of come back again.
So, being that this is a cat and mouse type of movie, your personal opinion, if the two adversaries were to play chess against each other, who do you think would win?
Well, clearly, I would have to say I'm sure Roy would win, but I wouldn't hedge my bets. I mean, I guess Don's, he's quite impressive in the film, and he's a very smart guy as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what they show Samir playing chess, and they show the art. I think chess is the universal. This guy's smart, exactly.
That's right, yeah.
But then I always wonder because Roy's sitting there, and we don't see Roy playing. I'm thinking Roy is just as smart.
Yes, we should have some scenes of Neil and I like playing checkers.
Exactly, something like that.
We're like, right, he's the checkers guy.
You never know how movies are shot and everything, but there's just so many locations in this movie, and you're bouncing around. Were they actually? Did you have to go to these places?
Yeah, we did. We spent a lot of time in Toronto in the beginning. That's where we set the film up, and then moved to Marseille, and then to Morocco, and then those guys went to London. And in there somewhere, we fit in Chicago, and our director did some aerial shots in Washington. And I think the aerial shots that they did in Washington were some of the first things that had been filmed since 9/11. I think there were some real restrictions on what can be, what aircraft can be used where, etc. And I think I wasn't part of that, but I believe it was quite a task to actually achieve that.
Who makes the backstory for you? Do you make that yourself when you go in, or do you even need to know about that? Because it seems to me when we're presented with Roy, it's almost like there's so much baggage on it. We pretty much can guess what his whole life and career has been.
It's an interesting thing, really, with a character because it depends what you. It depends what you need to know for yourself, I think. If sometimes things are so implicit in the script that you really understand where you are at that moment and you're not necessarily having to express, your backstory. And obviously there is a little bit of that exposition in the script. He's got a sort of a Southern Baptist background, etc. And so it's good for me to kind of, just vaguely put together a picture. But it's sort of different for every job, I find. And I don't want to be too burdened with that stuff. But at the same time, there clearly is a natural sense of confidence and a relaxed quality that will occur when you know what your history is. But at the same time, you don't want to take on that stuff and have it become like homework that you've got to try and remember, because then you'll spend the whole movie doing this. So it depends. It's different on every film, I find.
I was going to say, I'm thinking you're making it up on the fly as you go.
Well, sometimes you do. Like sometimes I find it's actually really beneficial to just not know any of that and be really in the present moment and allow your own kind of history to sort of play a part.
I love this film. Great job. Good. Thank you very much.
Cheers.